Welcome to Fragmental.
An amusing take on random topics.
So man, it's been
where the
I know,
fuck have we been?
4 months, man. It's great to be back.
Yeah, 4 months. It is great to be back. Quite the hiatus.
Yeah, well, I guess I should probably kick us off with why we took 4 months off. So,
I was gonna say I don't know. Like we were talking earlier, I don't think we sat down and said, you know what, I think we need a break. You know, we're what was it? The fame is really getting to
it's
us.
getting in my head. I
we
need to go
breather,
I need to go enjoy some of this for a little while, and then let's get back at it.
Exactly.
So
fill us
yeah,
in. What's going on?
some of you may or may not know, but I actually almost died of COVID. Um, as Dave likes to tell people to make it completely awkward and awesome. Um, but no, legitimately I got COVID. Um, actually, I think a couple days after our last podcast. Actually, no, I had COVID during our last podcast. That was the day I started feeling sick.
Oh, good thing we're
Oh
separate.
yeah,
That would have
no
fucking
kidding.
sucked
I
if you
wouldn't
were
have done
actually
that
here.
to you. Not in today's day and age, but yeah, oh yeah. If this was 2 years ago, I would have coughed all over your ass.
Exactly. What happened to that show? They both died of fucking COVID.
It turns out they're better now that they're gone. Weird.
Now we're a classic podcast. Now we're on like 70s.
Apple Podcast Classic, featuring Dave and Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
From Fragmental. You guys remember Fragmental?
Yeah.
But yeah, so
one of those. I was gonna say one of those like 70s, like those infomercials. Do you remember this classic? Fragmental.
What'll be awesome is
and your voice going. He drove his dick. He drove the boat with his dick.
Some of our best sound bites. Fuck you. It's good water. Ray J made.
What do you think? I sit around in a smoking jacket?
Ray J's dick made a whole family rich. That still fits. All those they still apply today.
Oh man, God! And that, yeah. Anyway, so you almost died. Let's get back to
COVID.
That. So let's hear that story.
Yeah, look, I'll just be frank, man. We, you can still be Dave, but I know. I even paused.
I missed that
paused
opportunity.
for it.
God damn it! I know you did.
It's all right.
I know you did.
It's great radio there. But yeah, my mom had somebody come over to give her a quote on a walk-in bathtub, and the dude just didn't follow COVID protocols, and he was coughing all over the place, and he kept taking his mask up and down, and yeah, a couple days later, my mom and I both got COVID. First couple days actually went pretty well. Like, I had fever and you're laughing, motherfucker.
Well, I'm laughing because I looked down at we're using Zencaster to record this, and I look down, and it says it literally has my name, and then where Mike's recording line is, it says the voice. That's what I'm laughing at. It's like the voice. I'm like, I'm on the phone.
That's what I was going to say. Like, that's definitely false advertising right there. As good as the voice is, I am the voice.
For those of you who know Steve Perry's nickname is the voice. Yeah. But anyway,
so you got COVID. The first few days were, I was sick, but it wasn't, honestly, it was no worse than any kind of flu I've had. Like, it wasn't the flu, but as far as fever, chills, like, it was doable. I worked through it, it was obviously remote, but, so yeah, then, I wouldn't have gone to the office with it. But then, that following Monday, so I guess it was the 16th, 15th, whatever. So I had a virtual visit with my doctor, and she's like, "Hey, you're fat." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. COVID's going great, thanks." And but of course, that's the whole thing. Like, "Hey, know you got asthma. Is everything good?" And I was like, "Yeah, everything's fine." So I took a nap that day, woke up, and I was having a hard time breathing. So that was the day when I kind of debated. I'm like, "Yeah." I had the little oxygen meter thing on my hand, and it was getting into the 80s. So that's where I was kind of like, do I? Yeah.
Fuck. That's like below 90.
Once you're below 90,
bad.
which I learned, once you're below 90, they admit you. So that's what.
Oh. And you're at your house going, yeah, it's 86.
Well, it was like
it's
bouncing
fine.
between 88 and 92. So that's where I was like, okay, you know what? I guess I'll go in. And actually, I was talking to my boss also, who was like she was scared to death. She's like, "You need to go in. You need to go in. You need to go in." And I'm like, "Well, I'll be fucking fine." And
She goes, because if you die, I got to deal with that other fucking
right.
asshole.
But nobody wants that.
And nobody wants that. You need to offset that shit.
So anyways, so I went in and get to the hospital, and of course it's COVID season, so nobody's allowed, my family's not allowed in with me, so they just dropped me off, and I'm like, just go. It was a snowstorm that night. I was like, just go home.
Did they stop?
Yeah,
Or did
she
they
was
just
like,
kick you out
tuck
the
and
fucking
roll,
door
bitch,
as
tuck
they
and
drove by?
roll. She's like, you got some good girth there. You'll get a good bounce. Go for it. And so, I get out and I was like, just go home. Like, I'm sure by tomorrow morning I'll be, whatever. So I get in there and of course, they do the auction thing. They're like, oh shit, 89, you're staying. And I was like, what? Like, aren't you just going to give me like some antibodies and move on? She's like, nope, not with that oxygen level. We're not.
Some hydroxychloroquine?
Right. Don't you got some bleach I should be drinking or something? Like, what the fuck?
Just inject
Right. I
me
thought I
with
was
some bleach.
going
I'll be
to take a
fine.
couple shots of bleach, take some, whatever, antibodies and move on. So yeah, they said, we're going to keep you. And, so that was the beginning of what turned into an 8-day stay. And, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it was 8 days.
I don't remember.
So the beginning, this is where it got serious. This is probably the
Wow.
only part I'll be super serious. So I get back there, they give me an a room, like a makeshift room in the emergency room. And at this point, I'm just kind of bummed out because I'm like, fuck, I thought I was going to be out of here in a few hours. I've taken a few hits of the inhaler and then they come back. And that's when this other doctor comes back and she's real strong foreign accent. And, you know me, I'm pretty positive, so I'm like, hey, doc, we're going to,
Oh, God,
we're
yeah,
gonna
you're
beat
super
this thing,
positive.
right? And she's like, we can't treat this. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Jesus Christ.
like, what the fuck? And she follows that with, and this is the most fucked up part of my entire hospital stay. She follows that with, so how do you feel about being on a ventilator? And I'm like, so at that point, that was a roundhouse kick to the stomach. I'm like,
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I'd rather not, but I mean, if that's my only option, I guess that's what I got to do. And so she's like, okay, leaves. And I'm just like, fuck. Like, do I need to start recording videos like for my family? Like, what do I do? And then the other doctor comes in and she could tell is apparently, visibly shaken, I guess. And she's like, what's wrong? Like, you've been, my favorite patient of the night. Like, what's going on here? And I was like, hey, doc, whatever.
Doctor
Right.
killed you. I
Came in and talked about putting me on a ventilator. And, honestly, doc, I didn't know when I said goodbye to my family, I was saying goodbye to my family. And she's like, you're not.
Wow.
She's like, we've already put in the orders. You're going to get put on remdesivir. We're going to get you antibodies. Like, we're going to get this thing taken care of. Like, you're going to be okay. At this point I'm on oxygen too. So I'm like, oh yeah, well, this fucking machine right here says I'm not, Right. As I'm over there going, Luke, she's like, stop. At least you're joking again. God. So yeah, man, that right there,
funny.
truthfully, was the beginning of the, like, I really might not survive this. And that fucking sucked.
Wow. It's interesting though. It's interesting that she's like, how do you want to be on a ventilator, like to hardcore you? But the other one must have seen like, you're not bad enough for us to put on a ventilator.
Right. So so she kind of backed that off a little bit. And she's like, no, you're on 2 liters. Like, this is not a problem. It's going to get worse. It's not going to stop here, but what we're going to give you should knock this out. But, that is, she said, look, just being honest, that is a possibility. That is not where you are right now by a long shot. And then over time, like at one point they increased my oxygen to 5 liters. And that was like the second point where I'm like, I was pissed. Like, I'm fucking dying. Like, what is going on here? And that nurse who was there, the head nurse, I'd like to call her.
I was going to ask you if were the doctors hot?
That nurse
no?
Was.
Which one?
Yeah,
the good one.
Oh no,
I thought the doctors.
No, they were not.
The doctor.
I mean, the foreign lady was like a bowling ball, and like she was not. Just not. Look, she was there for the research, clearly, not for the social aspect.
Yeah, exactly. She's purely scientific.
But there was another nurse who explained it to me. She was like, look, you're on 5 right now. You will be up to 15 first. Then we take you to another area, try another type of breathing treatment. If that doesn't work, then you start talking about respirator. She was like, you are at 5. You are nowhere near that. Your oxygen levels when you're on 5 are like 95. Like, you're exactly where we want you to be. So just stop getting worse, God damn it.
And besides, we don't have any ventilators to put you on, so that's why we're trying this first. Have you seen
yourself, sir? That's a big fucking ventilator. So,
when's the last time you looked in the mirror? Because we've got a special order that motherfucker to get.
By the way, hold on real quick. Hey, do you guys got the fucking freight scale for this guy? Yeah. I'm like, great. This is helping me immensely right now. Thanks.
Nurse so and so, freight number X9996 for patient Mike is
he going to need a swing? Because we've got the swing if you need it. So yeah, man.
Do you want that with or without the crane?
So yeah, man, that was, again, that was kind of like the peak of the sadness, honestly, man. The rest of it, obviously there was a lot of downtime where you just think about shit, but like as far as at that point, one thing I will say, man, once they put me on the remdesivir and cefepime and some of these other, infusion drugs, like the COVID symptoms outside of the breathing were gone by the end of my antibodies and remdesivir first infusions. I no longer had the chills. I no longer had a fever. I no longer felt sick other than the breathing thing. So it was crazy.
Yeah, exactly. The most important part, the breathing.
Right. I feel like $1 million until I stand. But yeah, they so it was crazy. It got rid of all the side effects except for one. And this is one nobody fucking warned you about, okay? And this is what really pissed me off. Nobody warned me about this one. All right. So as I'm sitting there and I stand up and I cough, and it was a pretty good cough. Nobody warned me that with COVID that you fucking shit yourself. And I coughed out the biggest fucking shit, man. And oh my God, dude. I'm standing there. I'm like, oh my God. Like, so, I've got all these.
Did you shit all over the bed or
I
all over
had
the
underwear
floor?
on? Thank God. Oh, it would have fucking sprayed. I mean, the underwear, the underwear did not fucking survive. But I could feel it right away. It was like, oh my God. Like, I just fucking sharted the biggest shard ever. So at this point, like, I got to shimmy because I got the pole, I got all this, infusion shit in me, all these electrodes. Yeah. So I finally get into the bathroom. Oh my God, just pure demolished. Like, it was awful. Like, it was a fucking crime scene, dude. And so I'm like, so there's a shower in the bathroom, right? And I'm like, oh, thank God. Shower doesn't fucking work. Fucking shower's off.
What?
I'm sitting there spinning the fucking nozzle, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, what do I do? So I'm sitting there, and I'm just like mortified at this point. Of course, a fucking TA comes in. Dude's like, hey, bro, are you all right? And I'm like, no, dude, I got a bit of a shit. Dude, I got a bit of a situation over here. And the dude comes over, and I'm like, you don't want to come over here, man. And he's like, no, dude, everything okay? And I'm like, dude, there's fucking shit everywhere, man. Like it's as I'm looking down now because obviously I dropped pants to try to clean up, and now it's just like
Yeah.
fucking crime scene all over the
Yeah.
bathroom. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry you have to see this. This is fucking awful. He's like, oh, it's good, man. I just had to clean up like an old lady in the other room, man. This is nothing. I'm like, oh my God, this is not helping. Not
Oh,
helping right now.
oh my
So,
God.
yeah, so that was like I said, nobody warns you about shitting yourself. And yeah, that was by far the worst symptom I had of COVID was shitting myself viciously and needing a hand to fucking clean it up because I have all these things around me. So, like, everywhere I go, I've got electrodes to bypass. I mean, the guy was good about it. So the
Oh my
guy's like,
God.
dude, bro, bro, I think you're still shitting. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm like, I'm not, man. It's that fucking
is
bad.
this
Oh my God, so embarrassed. I'm like, dude, just please don't come back. I'll never be able to look at you ever again.
Oh my God.
That
So is
was the
that the story
story.
that your
Oh
wife
yeah.
that you
It was a
okay,
good
yeah.
one though, right?
No, that's a fucking great story. It's like
And so
oh
and
my
it's
God.
me. So of course, like my mom, like as I'm in the
Yeah.
hospital, like she's sick too, and she's like, I'm so worried about you. Like I can't, you're dying. And I'm like, well, mom, well then this story is really gonna kill you. I just fucking shit all over the goddamn. And she's cracking up. Of course, she couldn't breathe, which was a terrible move on my part. And, um, but oh my God, like I was mortified. Like I threw everything away. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah, you have to. Yeah, no, can you
yeah,
take
like
this, wash
you
it
guys
for me?
mind
I
getting
need
these
these. Yeah, these are my
dry
favorite
cleaned?
underwear.
So yeah, I'm just. But then
These are
I
my
asked the
lucky
guy, I'm like, "What's up
underwear.
with your fucking shower, man?" Like I was trying to hide the fact that I shit all over the goddamn place, and he's like, "Oh, those things don't work." And I'm like, "Clearly." Oh man,
Did he say why?
I
Like
don't
people gonna
know.
drown
I don't
themselves or
know.
something?
At that point, I didn't care why. I was just so fucking mortified that I shit all over the goddamn place, and like I couldn't even, like I was mortified to
Oh,
tell my wife that story. Like, she,
no, I'm glad you did because you said because when we were talking about this, you're like, I got a story to tell you, and I'm not gonna tell you anything about it. My
oh,
wife
she
thought it
was
was hysterical.
crying,
So,
laughing. Like I didn't tell.
oh, I have a fucking tissue in my hands to get the tears from
So
my
I
face.
I didn't tell her about it until I came home. And so she's asking me, like I talked to
Oh,
her and
okay, good.
FaceTimed her a lot. But I mean, obviously, right, we weren't on the phone
Right,
24 hours a day. I mean, fuckers didn't let me sleep any goddamn way.
right.
Which because if I didn't respond by 8 in the morning, people were like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
he died. Did he fucking die? Did he die?"
No. So it's funny because our boss, says Mike's in the hospital and COVID and he's whatever. So and it's COVID, so he can't go in and see you or you can't do any of that. Not even you know that your family couldn't even
Right.
go. Nobody can go. So I'm texting you to check in to see how you're doing and all that. And our boss is texting you as well. Probably a lot nicer than the shit that I was texting you, but she would like at like 8 o'clock in the morning, like 8, 9 o'clock, whenever we'd start work. She's like, "Have you heard from Mike?" And I'm like, "No, not yet." He's like, "Oh, okay." And then we got into a pattern where it would be like I'd get up at like I'd text you at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you'd respond at like I don't know, like 11, 11:30 or whatever. And it got into like this pattern. Like I would text you in the morning about 11, 11:30, respond back. So about I don't know, third or fourth day in, she's like, "I haven't heard from Mike." And I'm like, "Look, I text him at like 8 or 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. He responds by 11, 11:30. I'm assuming he's not getting any fucking sleep whatsoever. They're poking and
Oh
prodding
yeah.
him. My sister's a nurse, so she used to work the night shift. So I get it. I know how they operate or understand how they operate. And it's all needed. They
Yeah,
got to check
yeah, they're
vitals
switching
and
my
stuff like that.
infusions. Like, yeah, I didn't hate him
And
for it, but it was fucking
yeah.
annoying.
Yeah, and it's like you're not getting any rest. But she's like, I haven't heard from Mike yet, and I'm like, well, do you think he died? She's like, don't say that. And um, she got really mad because you're working on this big deal, and she got really mad when I told her that. She got really upset when I told her that I told you that she wanted you to work on it since you were just lying there, and I I could feel the anger in the text message coming back. Like, you tell him I didn't say that. I can get in trouble for that. And I'm like, holy shit, man.
As
Take a
I'm
joke.
cracking up, like, yeah, she
But
says, since you're just laying on your
yeah,
ass
I'm
doing
like,
nothing, why don't you go ahead and close this fucking deal?
yeah, what I think I said, I'm like, I said, our boss says that since you're just laying there, can you work on the price protection or whatever that was? You can't tell him I said that. That's illegal. And I'm like, I didn't tell him anything. And she actually made me. She goes, I need to know that you told him that I didn't say that. So I had to like physically take a screenshot of the text and send it back to her that says this came from me. It didn't come from her, and go from there. Um, but I love the fact it's like you responded back with something like, and I think I said like the real like once. I think I'm like, hey man, thinking about you and all that, and then the rest of it is just like, hey, have you seen the titties on this one? And it's like normal texting. It's like you unless you die, and then I was gonna get pissed because I'm like, fuck, now I gotta put a copulation show together. That motherfucker's gonna make me work.
I gotta do a
dies.
fucking best of, son of a that fucking selfish bastard.
Yeah, I got 44 episodes to fucking plow through. I don't have time for that.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's one thing I really appreciated when I was in there, is because everybody was like, hey, just so you know, we're praying. Like, we got in all the prayer lists and everything, and it's like, hey, thanks. Like, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And it did. Like, those things help get me through when you just have those dark times. Like, am I going to ever get home again? Like, shit like that. But what was nice was, like, you and one other friend treated me normal. Like, everybody else, like, even people, like, everybody, like, my brother's best friend who I've known, since he was like in fourth grade, like, he calls me up and he's like, hey, he would be the first one I'd expect to be like, hey, do you think I could bang one of your nurses or something like that? No. He's like, hey,
yeah,
you all right, bro? Like, you're fucking tough. Like, if that took you down, man, that's some serious shit. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, do you want to nail one of my nurses? He's like, no, that's another time, man. It's another time. And I'm like, no, man.
You're like, fuck,
right,
I am
like, man,
dying.
I'm getting off here. So, like, I appreciate it. Like, you're still sending me the same normal, like, memes and fucking jokes and, like, yeah, how are the cans on this nurse? And like, well, they're pretty big, but his dick is huge, but yeah, like, just stuff like that. Like, it helped, because again, like, what I had like shitty TV channels. So like, I pretty much just watched ESPN the entire time because nothing's really good. There's no fucking DVR in the hospitals.
For what they fucking charge you, they should have like live shows. I definitely
made plenty of those kinds of jokes, and some of the people were cool. Like, some of the nurses and stuff. Like, there was one guy, like, it was a gamble by me, but like, he comes in for the second night and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, like I said to the nurse who was in there, like, "Really, you gave me this fucking guy again? Jesus." And he's cracking up, and I'm like, man, that could have gone really bad.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you, man, I'm working my ass off. You're like the 8th COVID patients on this floor. You think I want this shit?
You're my 8th exactly. I'm dressed. I'm fucking PPE from head to tail.
Shit
fuck
all
you,
over
man.
Steve earlier. What the fuck do you want from me?
Steve still has PSD from that fucking shit you got.
For the next month. Thank God I never saw that son of a bitch again. I could not, like, I'm sure the feeling was mutual, but I mean, I couldn't. Like, I never would have been able to look at him again if he came in like, dude, I promise, man, I haven't eaten in 2 days. It's good. It's good.
Look, when you sign up for that stuff, like, you're going to see some shit. I'm sure. And I don't mean like your physical shit. Like, you're going to see some.
No, that's, I mean, unfortunately, it's what you sign up for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually what you sign up for. So you almost want to be like, yeah, clean that shit up, motherfucker. You signed up for this.
Is this better than Gertrude over there in 3A? No, it's not, because I
Oh
got to
man.
dodge your dick and balls while I'm doing this. This is fucking awful. Like, you mind lifting those shits up for me, dude? Because this is
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to touch that
like,
stuff.
like
Just
you
there's
had
the
to make it
towel.
worse by dropping dong right now. Like, just fucking hold it up.
You just hit me in the forehead with that thing.
But so I appreciated it, man.
Yeah, look, I'm trying to help you out here. You can't yell teabag when I'm fucking trying to clean you up.
Oh, I'm so mad I
That
didn't.
literally might be a funny.
I'm so mad I didn't think
We're
of that.
45 episodes in. We're 45 episodes in after a 4-month layoff. That might be the best joke of all episodes.
I'm so bummed out that I didn't do that because
You
oh my
you
god,
missed
I
a
know.
huge opportunity.
Dude. Oh man, especially because he was a good sport about it. He'd probably be like, "Man, fuck you!" Like,
Yeah,
oh my god.
exactly. It throws the fucking towel at your face. You clean this shit
Right.
up.
I'm not helping you
I'm
anymore.
out. I quit.
Right. I'm gonna collect my FMLA and
I'm
get the
calling the
fuck out of
fucking
here.
nurses union.
Oh man. So yeah,
Oh.
and so long story come to a close here. I clearly survived. So things did get better after shitting myself. Yeah, the breathing thing hung around for a while, but I mean, it was 8 days. I was able to come home, which was awesome. Like, that was the best feeling ever, man, just to be around my family. And, so that was good, because at first, like, you could tell, like, the kids, I think, were just nervous. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm still alive, and they're like, you're right.
I'm
It
not a
really is
ghost.
me. And they're like, you lost weight. And I'm like, thanks, because I shit it all out. But I'm doing great, and
Oh god, the
oh man,
COVID
that's
diet.
what I'm telling you. That's like, and part of me want, like, that would have been awesome for me to tell that, not that whole story, but to tell that to customers, like, because everybody wanted to know. Like, when
Yeah,
I came back to work, or not even work, like anything, go to coach the kids practice, go to anything. Yeah, everybody
just
wanted to know
everywhere.
the story, and that should have been my lead. Like, everybody talks about the breathing, the chills. Nobody fucking warned me about the sharding, though. And like, because that was
Sharknado.
Sharknado. Right. Nobody warned me about Sharknado over here. Oh, dude, it was like, to me, that was by far of all the symptoms, that was the worst one. And the funniest story, though. So,
Oh,
I mean, we got something good out of it.
it is. It absolutely is. I'm still tearing up.
Well,
I had to get
well,
another tissue. My
the
nose is
tea
running. I'm
bag,
laughing
that
so
would have
hard.
been great. I'm so bummed out I missed that opportunity.
Oh, that was no. It happens. We all in the
Yeah,
in the
I mean, that's
situation we get it. I'm cracking up because we'd have like team calls and stuff, and you're not on them, and they're like, and everybody's like, so how's Mike? And then I bust into like not the shitting story, but other story, and they're all looking at me like, what? I mean, the guy's in the hospital. I'm like, yeah, I know. This is he'd be saying the same shit right now
Well,
if
I
he
mean,
was
that
here.
was, yeah.
But
That's the thing. That's what I was gonna
go
say.
ahead.
Like, because even when I came back, it's still great now. Because even if you're like, "Hey, remember when you almost died?" and everybody's like, "Oh," like, come on, man. Like, if I'm laughing
the
at that joke, why can't you bastards laugh at it?
Yeah, well, I mean, well, it is what it is. But it's funny because I think I remember the first time I said it. Well, I'm like it just off the top of my head. I'm like, well, you did almost die or whatever the hell it was, and the look on some people's faces were like their eyes were open, their mouths dropped, and I think you might have been on mute. I don't remember, but I could see you just laughing out loud, like, oh my god, that's perfect. Almost
I
died.
mean, that's you and I, we talked about this actually about a year ago when we came back from my father passing away. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
managed to find the humor in everything.
Yeah, there's something. It's sad as it is. There's something funny about There's something funny somewhere. Um, I was watching. Yeah, this that wasn't. I was trying to go down to this thing about Getty Lee, but um, no, you're right. There's humor in everything. I mean, we, and I don't know if it's that people don't see it or we're just so fucked up that we just notice it.
Probably says more about
I
who
don't
we
know.
are than them. But
Yeah, it
you
does.
know
I
what?
mean, it
I
absolutely
also
does.
like. I feel like I enjoy life a lot more because you and I are like that. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to find humor in everything.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I don't want to go to anything like even if I'm at a something for like my daughter's high school graduation, like she graduated with 400 people. We got 10 seconds of her graduating. That was not an enjoyable day, but we're still looking for
yeah.
all, like I'm looking around the room like there's got to be something funny here. Like because at that point the AC was
Yeah.
broke. It's 90 degrees in here. This sucks. There's got to be something funny here. Oh, there it is. The guy walking around in whatever flip flops and cut off jean shorts. That guy's awesome. Yeah, like shit like that.
Fight the man on his hat
So yeah, man, that was
or whatever they call that thing. That board.
so yeah, that was the big part of why we took a 4-month break. I am now back. I'm in very good health. Breathing's not an issue. Still
Good.
have some of the COVID fatigue. That thing, it's real. It does hang on. And it comes out of nowhere.
What do they say on the fatigue?
I've heard
How long does
up to
that
6 months,
last?
but some people say
Do
longer.
they know?
So it's not as bad. Like, I mean, when I first started working again, like my lunch break, I would legit go take a half-hour nap.
Oh, I thought you
No,
just
I
did
do
that
not.
normally.
My hair just, well, my little bit of hair
Oh.
just looks like
Oh.
bedhead. But you can't you can't comb it when it's that little. Um, but or that thin whatever. But yeah, so the COVID fatigue is real, and it just hits you out of nowhere. So like I'll just be sitting there, fine, everything's fine, and then it's like bam, exhausted. Like to the point where it's like I got to go lay down.
Really? Wow.
Like or just fall asleep on the couch. So I got that, and then like the COVID fog, where you forget shit. That's real too. Like I don't know how many times like situations where I'm on a call with a customer and I can't think of whatever a very standard word I would say on one of my calls. Now, luckily, a lot of everybody was completely understanding, so they're like, "Hey, it's okay," and I'm like, "No, it's not." Like, this is really embarrassing, but that was good. So yeah, man. What were
Oh,
some
I was
of you?
gonna say.
What did you do during our time off? Like you did besides sit and hope I didn't die.
I I sat. I hope you didn't die. And then I sat and I prayed every day, and I asked for prayers on Facebook for you to see if
Oh,
that would work
thanks.
as well too. So whatever I could get. Nah, fuck that. I was just sending you
I,
shit randomly. I think at some point, I don't know whether it was. I'm like, he'll be fine. And maybe I was naive in the fact that you could have died. But I think after the first couple of texts, there was a moment though. There was a moment where the lag when one of your texts was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you didn't respond like your normal 11. I'm like, fuck. I really am gonna have to do a clip show. The but But I don't know. For the most part, I don't know. I just assumed it didn't. You were texting back and you're like, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I think when you told me about the leaders or whatever that was with the oxygen, my sister's a nurse, so I said, I asked her about it, and she was like, oh, that's this and that's this. So it's kind of like, okay, so it's not great, but
yeah,
it's
it's
not
not
like
devastating.
on
Yeah.
death's doorstep, so to speak. It's not devastating. So she's like, it's bad, but not awful. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not great, but it's not like holy fuck. You better start putting together a
Hope that
eulogy.
guy's got a will,
Um,
because fuck.
exactly. Yeah, there's some life insurance involved because his family's fucked. But no, you know what? We just texting you, and then I went out to California in April. So see a buddy of mine out in Cali, which is California's interesting. He's got a boat down at Long Beach Marina, which is funny because he lives in Orange County, which is south of LA. It's kind of it's really conservative. It's Orange County is like this anomaly inside of
Really?
California. And then you go up to Long Beach
Yeah,
and there's
because
like,
when I hear
yeah.
California,
Oh
that's
yeah.
what like
There it's
everybody's like super. Everyone smokes weed or eats edibles and
yeah.
voted for Ralph Nader. Like that's
Yeah. No, it's I mean that's like every I think that's every area outs I think the farthest south you go it might get more conservative. But no, Orange like he's in just outside of Irvine. Um and it's not super conservative, but it's more conservative than the rest of California. Um, I think it's probably because they're richer there than well, no, I guess you got Beverly
yeah,
Hills, not
yeah.
but whatever. Anyway, went to Long Beach, where his boat is. Went out on the ocean in his boat. Um, saw people that no joke. The boat that was parked out, and we went into this like harbor where all these, I think it was Huntington Beach Harbor, maybe not. And the boat was like it had to be like 10 or 12, $20 million of like a yacht, and the house might have been five. You know what I mean? The fucking boat was like twice as expensive than the house. Um, but like just it's fucking Cali, man. We went out somewhere and they were going into a liquor store to buy some booze that they can only get they buy it there because it's cheaper than it is in Orange County. And a fucking dude just walks in without no mask, walks in without a shirt on. He's like, fuck, he's just
Yeah.
being him. And it California is a different vibe. Every time I fly out there, just when as soon as you land and you get out of the airport, you're like, it's a different feeling. I don't know what it is about California, but
But everybody's
um,
chill, right?
but
Like
not a
like
lot,
that's
man.
what I envision. Everybody's pretty chill.
Yeah, for the most part, a lot of a lot of homeless. Holy fuck, man, homeless issue in California is insane. I was talking to somebody, not my buddy, but somebody else that said some of these homeless folks will like if they're selling like $1 million home or a $2 million home or whatever the home is in like LA, the homeless will go park out in front of the house until the realtor pays
Holy
them to
crap,
leave.
man! Opportunist dicks.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I mean they've got to do something about it. I don't know how much of it's mental. I don't know how much of it is economical. I don't. I mean, but there's shit going on there every day. But it's
Yeah,
still Cali, you know what I mean? We went it's almost this is weird how I'm gonna relate this to India, but it's kind of like India. We're in Laguna Beach up in like we drove up these hills so you kind of overlook the Pacific Ocean. And there's these gorgeous fucking houses on these cliffs, right? They're just built into the cliffs, absolutely phenomenal. And then you go towards LA and it's the fucking homeless people everywhere. And you're like, it's like the have and have nots. Like which is when I was in India, that was the same. It was kind of the same way. You were like, you had just people that had money and people that had $0 and
yeah.
negative probably. It's just a weird dynamic. So I don't know. Times are just interesting now. That's all. I mean, we've got way too much fucking information. Here I go. Hang on, I gotta get out on my porch and shake my stick at the fucking
Hold
everything.
on while I go shake my fist.
You go and shake my fist, but no. Other than that, that was really the only thing I've
That's
done.
pretty sweet though, man. 'Cause you sent me
Is
some of
my
the
only one
pictures like
trip.
with the boat and stuff. Like, dude, I mean, the water looked
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, it was great. I mean, it was kind of cool to get out there, but what was funny is Long Beach Harbor, where all the cargo ships come in. There were 22 like cargo ships waiting to be unloaded because of COVID
That's where my
and kind
KitchenAid
of
microwave is. God damn it!
It's I don't know. I almost said that in a call today, but my buddy's ex-wife is on our team, so I didn't want to go there.
Yeah, when I was
But
visiting such and such, you know who I
uh
mean. Anyways,
yeah, wink wink. Um no, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it was kind of crazy. And that was really weird was they had like those cruise ships just parked there, empty.
really? Oh yeah, because
There were
who's
like
been on a
four of
cruise
those
in a
big
year? Yeah,
cruise lines. Nobody. So they were just parked there, and I guess they rotate them or something. I don't know what it is, but they move them
well, it's
around.
got to
And
be some kind of maintenance thing. I'm
it
guessing.
was
Like they can't get
I,
bed sores from the Pacific. I mean,
I mean, you've
you
got
got to move them.
the thing. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't know what they do. Maybe just to keep them running, to keep
Yeah,
the shit flowing through them. But you've got no income. You can't clean them or fix them up because there's nothing to pay anybody
right.
with.
Who's cleaning this thing? Oh, we just hired one of those homeless guys. We just gave him $50 and a 3-month-old
Exactly.
sandwich. He's good.
You could just, you know what you could do is take like, I'm sure there's enough room on one of those big ones to load all the homeless people in LA onto it. Just send it out to
Just let them,
sea.
right, for at least a
Just,
week. Let them enjoy life.
just, just like put it on autopilot and just get up, jump
Yeah,
off the ship, let
yeah,
it ride, see what happens.
they're safe.
They, they're safe.
Way safer than the
Exactly.
streets.
It's like, it's what was I going to call it? The Hunger Games on a boat.
Ever want to relive the fantasy of your favorite movie? Carnival Hunger Games.
Yeah. Exactly. There's no captain, there's no crew. It's just you and everybody else. But it's been pretty boring here, to be honest with you. We're just getting. It was kind of funny. Like you and I talked about getting back on the podcast like
Yeah,
for like
it's
3 weeks,
nice.
and
Nice
we
to be
just kind of
back.
settled on.
The
Yeah,
world's starting to open up,
it
sort
is
of.
good to be back.
Now that people are vaccinated,
Yeah,
yeah.
I you're
First one,
vaccinated.
my
You
second
can
one
get
should be
vaccinated.
this week, next week. So I just got to finalize the appointment. So yeah, that'll be my second one. So
Oh, nice.
we'll be good there. My wife's been vaccinated actually since February. So and it works. I can attest to the fact that it works. She was surrounded by sick COVID people, and didn't get sick from it. So it works. Um, she got Moderna. So
Yeah,
Moderna, if you're
that's awesome.
listening, I can vouch for you.
Yeah, exactly. The CEO of Moderna is one of our 5 listeners.
Right. So,
Hey, we got to get these. We got to get these guys at our corporate offices and let them know how great
hey,
Moderna is.
these two fucking jagoffs over here, Fragmental, like they love us, you guys. Like we need to sponsor this thing.
Yeah. I got the Pfizer one, both Pfizers. It's kind of funny. I had friends who were just like, I'm not gonna take it. It's just it's just the flu or whatever. And my one super conservative buddy was just like, you know what, I got it because it was easy and
Yeah, like
I won't be
now,
hassled.
I think that's why a lot of people did it. It was like I just want to go back to living some
Yeah,
type
it's
of
like
life.
right. So I went the other day. Ohio
Yeah,
lifted what June 2nd. They lifted the mask. And I think a couple days after that, I went into the first I don't know where I was. I don't remember what I went into without wearing a mask, and I'm like, it was Golf Galaxy. That's what it was. I was getting my clubs regripped. I went in without a mask on. I'm like, holy shit, this kind of feels
yeah,
normal again. And I was somewhere else, and I was like, oh, it was. I went to that bar over
yeah,
by me in work, Yogi's, and walked in there, and the place was packed, and on a Thursday night. I was on a Thursday night, and nobody had masks on, and it kind of just like felt like holy shit,
yeah.
we're kind of back. So
Yeah,
it
I
felt
mean,
good,
I do find it funny
you know.
just because, like, I don't know where we're at now, but I think when it first started, they're like 39% of the population's vaccinated, and like I'm in the middle of Kroger at that point. I still wear my mask because I haven't got my second one yet, so I'm being a good boy.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm looking like I'm one of 3 people in this whole store that have a mask on. Like statistically, 2/3 of
Yeah,
you should have one of these
exactly.
on.
That's yeah, right. Well, it's funny. I mean, they had the memorial here, and my buddy was there, and he's like, nobody's got a mask on at the memorial, and I'm like, yeah, 60% of Ohio, is it Ohio or the states? I think it's the states. 60% of the states, United States, have at least one
Yeah,
vaccine, have been vaccinated at least once. And that was after the memorial. So it's pretty, and it's like, if you're not vaccinated, we request that you wear a mask.
you
How do you
can't.
police that?
No.
You don't. People are like, yeah, I'm vaccinated. Like, they're not going to ask you for your card. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So we're gonna get the herd immunity one way or another. We're either gonna get vaccinated to that point, or we're just gonna have enough cases where people have the antibodies, and and they got the
Well,
herd
that's what I
immunity
think
piece of it. So
they're just trying to get now to a point. I mean, it was so divisive for, whether agree or disagree, it
mhm.
was. And I think it just got to the point where they're like, we just need to get it to a point that we're willing to live with. Like, because people are willing to live with the flu,
Yeah,
right? I mean, thousands of people die every year from the flu. I mean, it's usually,
right.
unfortunately, it's usually elderly, but I mean, or people who are already really sick. So I think that's where they are now. They're like, if we
Yeah.
can just get it to the point that we're just willing to we consider it manageable, that's where we're gonna have to live.
Yeah, and I think there, and in reality or fairness, I mean, it's part of the flu. COVID is a flu is the f- seasonal flu is a COVID
Yeah,
flu. I mean,
I
it's
know what you're
COVID.
trying to
It's
say.
a
Like,
one of
yeah,
those.
it's
Yeah, I'm not saying it very well, but I didn't. I forgot you had asthma. So it's interesting that because though if you're like generally in good shape and healthy and no ailments, you'll probably handle COVID relatively okay. But you have asthma, so that's gonna impact your breathing because of
yeah,
the asthma you have. So, um, so I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, well, he's pretty good health. I wouldn't, and I completely forgot he had asthma
yeah.
until you said it tonight. So now I'm like, that's where that's it because it hits the like
And
where
that's
you're
what
the
I
weakest.
truthfully, that's
So
the only thing I was worried about. Like, I mean,
mhm.
truthfully, I haven't been sick before this in probably 4 or 5 years. So I mean, my immune system's been really strong. All joking aside, I work out a lot. So like I felt like I'll do okay. Just I obviously I don't. My biggest fear was giving it to my mom, being a liver transplant patient. So, but that's what I was afraid of.
Well, that your contractor
Yeah,
took care of that
fuck
for
that
you,
guy,
so you didn't need to
man.
worry about
He's
it.
yeah. I probably should have went and beat his ass after, but that's okay. I mean, who knows? Maybe
You get COVID
yeah, that's
fatigue in the middle of a
right. Like
punch. You're
I
like,
got to
oh,
take him with one haymaker because I probably got nothing left. Um, but yeah, so
you wait here. I'm going to take a nap. I'll be back.
don't hit me until I'm up. Um, but yeah, I mean that was the thing I was worried about with the asthma, and just because I mean whenever I do get a cold, like it's going to end up bronchitis at least. Like that's just how it is when you have asthma.
Yeah.
So when I got it, that's what I was worried
Mhm.
about. But the fact that I went several days and felt fine, I thought I had beat it. And then, like I said, it was just like that, man. I went to sleep, woke up, oxygen level between 88 and 92. So, yeah,
Boom.
yeah.
Out of
And that's
nowhere,
what I,
COVID
right.
with the hang.
Down goes Mike.
COVID out of nowhere with a haymaker.
But yeah, man, it's nice to, now, you feel like you can get together with, I mean, we got together with my family for my grandpa's 87th birthday. Like,
Yeah.
it's like getting back to that kind of stuff's been nice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, we went to a wedding. We went to a wedding the other a couple weeks ago. So that we were all on the dance. I mean, it felt like COVID never happened. So I mean, I think we did what we needed to do, and it's fine. But I'm happy now that things are going to kind of somewhat
Yeah,
get back to
I think
normal.
things will
So
be different a little bit, and I think I'm gonna milk it a little bit because we don't have to be as busy now. So I'm trying to keep it that way. Like in the past, it'd be like the month of July
yeah,
sucked. We just had so much stuff. Whereas now it's like maybe we still don't do as much as we would have before. But you know,
yeah.
yeah.
I
I
think a lot of
mean,
people are doing
I'm
that.
not gonna say like it's because I'm afraid of COVID coming back. I think it's more being selfish of my time. But yeah, I, it is nice though to see people's faces again, and maybe the world will be in a much better mood because Lord knows everybody's became a fucking asshole in this last year and a quarter.
Yeah, exactly. Year and a half. Oh yeah, it's funny. They got it now. If we all get back to, if things get back to kind of like normal to where they were before, can we still say it's the new normal?
I
Is
mean,
this is the new
would it be
normal?
now
Like,
though? Is that what we would say? But like when you're having
I
to,
don't. When is the fuck? It was the new normal like a month and a half
yeah,
ago, or like a year and a half ago. So
but I
how
meant
is
the
it
other
not?
way.
How
Like
is this
now,
not
if
the
you're
new
having a
normal?
beer with somebody, like just getting used to the new normal. Am I right? You know, shots everybody.
Yeah.
It'll be nice. It'll be nice to get back to that and actually feel like we had a summer, and yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
So it's good to be back.
Yep. So yes, yeah, we're let's and thank God for Zencaster during this whole thing. We cranked out some episodes, probably more than we did in the first year
Oh
that we
yeah,
were on
yeah.
on the podcasting.
Before I
So
derailed us, we were on a pretty good run there.
Yeah, we're on a pretty good run. So, well, hey, we should probably wrap this up. But great fucking story, Mike. And now I have the Sharknado, joke to throw around. Preferably
That's
not
what I
on a
was gonna
business
say.
call,
Like,
of
I'll leave
course.
that
But
up to you because I'm not bringing that up. But again,
yeah, exactly.
I have no shame. So
yeah. Well, thanks, Mike. As always, we are on all the major platforms for podcasting. For the 6 of you that are listening, and you're probably listening on one of those platforms. We actually were sponsoring a hole this weekend at the
Crohn's
Crohn's.
colitis, yeah.
Take steps for Crohn's colitis. And we might be on another sign for the Emma Cunningham Memorial Scramble down in
So we're
Newark,
multinational
Ohio,
at this point.
at the Trout Club. Well, multi-city anyway. Anyway, but yeah. So
thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Mike.